it should be you should see like a dash that says membership dashboard, event dashboard, and financial dashboard. Is that what you're seeing?
Oh no, I'm not seeing anything. Because I called in, I didn't join it via computer. You want me to do that? I am logged into our account, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Let me just.
Yeah, I think it will be necessary to go to the GoToMeeting program to have this show up visually, right, Adrian?
Yeah, you should just be able to take that link that I provided in the credentials and just copy it and paste it into your URL.
Okay, I'm doing that right now. Just a second.
Mm-hmm.
And I should be able to join you in the online GoToMeeting visual at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later during this phone call.
No stress. I know how that goes with needing a password and all that kind of stuff.
I'm working from a friend's office this morning, and it's a lovely office with hot, Irish breakfast tea and all that, just missing an internet password.
That's funny. Oh, Raven, can you see my screen now?
I can, yeah.
Awesome.
So let's need to hang up from my phone. I'm going to hang up from my phone now.
Hey, can you hear us on your computer, Raven? I was going to say maybe don't do that.
Oh,
give her a second. Yeah. I feel like the phone on the microphone on the computer sometimes can be really tricky. So I always call in from my phone and then just use the link from my computer.
Yeah.
So Raven, you can probably still hear us, but your microphone on your computer's muted is the problem. If I was you, Raven, did you turn it? Can you hear?
Oh, I did turn it on, but I'll mute it again when you want me to not talk.
No, don't worry about muting it at all. I was going to say just call back in with your cell phone or with your phone if you couldn't figure out how to unmute it on your computer or if it gave you bad feedback, because sometimes it does. Can you hear me just fine?
I can hear you great. Yes.
Okay.
And awesome. we never want you to not talk, Raven.
Yes.
all words that come to mind should be heard.
I'll remember you said that at the most opportune time.
Very good, he said to himself with trepidation.
But for real, Raven, if you have any questions as we're going through the training, totally just interrupt me. And I say that because I'm the kind of person where if I think of a question and then somebody moves on to the next subject, I've already forgotten my question. And so if you have something in mind that you're not sure of, just let me know, holler at me. Of course. All right, awesome. So right now we're looking at the membership dashboard. And so right now, Michael, we're looking at the page. Am I recording? Yes. We're looking at the page that you guys are going to be seeing when you log in. So the first thing that you do when you log in with your admin credentials to the admin side of the site is you're going to be brought to this dashboard area. Now, right here, this is just an overview of a lot of the information we can access within the system. And so this is really just a snapshot of everything. Everything that you see here, we can look into a little bit deeper. So right now, the first thing that we're looking at is the membership dashboard. So this is comprised of two different kind of areas. We have our current membership roster. So you'll notice that we have all of we have your Templar member type. And right now we have 99. You had 100 in your list, but one of them was yourself, Raven. And so I just left you in an admin profile. If you need to be a paying member, we can apply that payment to admin, or we can just put you in we would have to end up creating a duplicate. We'll figure that out when we get there. We don't need to go into detail on that today. But basically, we have our member type, and then we have our prospects. And so once that prospect list is looked at and all of the duplicates are taken away from it, I'll be able to import those. And that prospect is just a built-in non-member member type is the best way to explain it. Okay. And then we even have a total count. My favorite part about this list is if I wanted to see a list of these 99 Templar members, just the Templar members, not admin or prospects, I can click on that number. It's going to bring me right into my profile list. Now, there's a lot of things we can do from this profile list, and I'll go back through that towards the end of our call today.
Okay.
To go back to our home page, I'm just going to click the home icon in the top left-hand corner. So we can click any of these numbers in this column. Now, as your members move from their active period, once they go into their grace period, we're literally just going to see their number move into the graced column. If they still haven't paid after their grace period, they're going to move into the lapsed column. So if one of your members becomes lapsed, or if any of your members become lapsed, they're not being deleted, they're not being automatically moved to prospects or anything like that. Instead, what's happening is they're just moving into this lapsed column status.
Okay.
We also have new members in the last 90 days. This little dashboard area is just to pull out any new members that have joined you guys in the last 90 days, just because we know how important it is to contact those new members frequently and directly after they've become a member with you. So that's going to be based on join date. If your members are taking a membership application through the MemberClicks website, join date will be automatically populated into their profile. However, if you're manually adding members into MemberClicks, join date's not going to be automatically populated because it's a manual add, so it's something that you would have to put in, and then the system will read that join date and pull it into this new member in the last 90 days dashboard area. I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get into your members' profiles in just a bit. Any questions on these two up at the top?
I think we're good.
Okay. The next dashboard area we have is going to be pulling from your event registration forms. So any event registration forms you have the ability to put in the date of the event, that date that you add to the form, and we'll get to that when we get to our forms training, will be pulled in and determine if the event is either in the past event column or an upcoming expected event column. These two dashboard areas will also show you, of course, the date, the name of the event, and either how many people have attended the event or how many people have registered so far.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
The last dashboard area we have at the very bottom is our financial dashboards. And so this is comprised of we have an aged receivables area. So this is going to show you how many outstanding invoices you have, by how many days, and how much money. So we have a money, it's going to create a bar graph, and the bar is going to go up as high as much money is outstanding. And then this along the bottom determines how many days, or tells you how many days that invoice is outstanding. So if it's current, you're going to have a big green graph or bar. And if it's 1 to 30 days past due, 31 to 60 days past due, 61 to 90 days past due, or 91 plus days past due, you're going to see a big red bar populate. And then this last dashboard over here, sales over time. So this is going to show us how much money has been brought in per month. And we can filter this by revenue account. Now, have I received y'all's revenue account yet? Accounts?
I don't think so. Do you know anything about that, Raven?
No. No. I don't know about that.
No worries.
Yeah,
so I'm just
I recently compiled an overview of revenue for the last 2 years. Is that necessary to have in, or can we start from now?
Okay, so what financial system are you using to track your financials?
That was on PayPal.
So you don't have like QuickBooks or anything?
No, it's time to implement that.
Okay.
But we don't have, it's just in the, PayPal has a fair number of different kinds of, statements and charts, etc. But obviously it's not as sophisticated as QuickBooks.
Gotcha. So the big thing there is if you guys do end up purchasing and using QuickBooks, whatever revenue accounts are in QuickBooks have to match MemberClicks exactly. At some point, you're going to be able to pull transaction reports from MemberClicks, import them to QuickBooks to reconcile your accounts, which is going to make your accountant or financial person very happy. But in order to make that happen, we do have to have those revenue accounts the exact same. So as you see, if I look at Raven, if you look at this, I've got this revenue account filter, which is what you can select. Mm-hmm. I do have a membership I have a membership dues revenue account that I've created, and I don't know why it's not showing up in here. I added it, it might not have been updated, but that membership dues revenue account can be used to track membership dues, and then any additional, you really want to make sure that you're separating out the money that you are bringing in. So if you get money for anything else, like donations, for example, you might want to have a donation revenue account. Sometimes I know that even has to be processed through a different payment processor or put into a different, like a different bank or something. I don't know how all that works and how that works with you guys, but if you have events, you want to have a different revenue account for your events. Sometimes you even want those to be broken out into like conferences and, you know, just different types of events that you have. So you might want to
excuse me. Yeah, just a quick question, Adrian. So we are currently set up, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Raven. We are currently set up with an account that will receive exclusively the regular membership monthly donation revenue. Do we want, and it's sounding like we would need to have a separate account, which we do actually have, a separate bank account to receive strictly donation revenue that is not linked to membership donations. And you're suggesting that we have another separate account to receive event registration. Is that right?
That is correct. Well, all of the money that you get through MemberClicks can all be brought in through Moolah, your payment processor that you have with us.
Right, that's what I was assuming, yeah.
Okay. Does it need to go in 3 separate accounts, though? Do those...
Oh, so we're not talking bank accounts? I'm sorry, Raven. We're not talking bank accounts. We're talking a different Moolah account. Is that right?
I see what you're saying. Okay. Adrian?
Say that again, Raven.
That's what you were talking about? We don't need 3 separate bank accounts.
Correct. I was talking about revenue accounts or a chart of accounts, which it just kind of categorizes your money so that you know what is bringing in money for you guys and where that money is coming from.
Oh, okay, great. So it's not about the separate bank accounts. My mistake. Please go ahead.
No. We can talk. I don't want to waste too much time talking about this for this database training. We can come back to it, but right now, just know that I've created a membership dues revenue account for you guys to filter it. If we don't have any revenue accounts in MemberClicks, then all your money is going to go in one big lump sum unnamed account in MemberClicks, which is difficult to manage. And so that's why, you know, I'll probably go ahead and create an events revenue account for you as well today. So you'll have like a MemberClicks, you'll have like a membership dues, you'll have like an event, maybe even a donation. And then if there are any other types of money that your association might be bringing in that you'd want to track in a separate revenue account or like filter by, then you just want to create additional revenue accounts, and I'll show you how to do that.
So there's not a charge through Moolah for doing that?
Go ahead, Raven. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. There's not an extra charge to have more revenue accounts through Moolah, is Adrian?
It's not through Moolah, it's in MemberClicks.
Okay, so it's you. So there's, okay, good. I got you.
Yeah, so this is just a bookkeeping function within MemberClicks, not connected to Moolah.
Correct.
Okay, finally, I got it. I'm so sorry. I'm a little silly.
No, you're totally fine. I mean, it's a little bit of a weird concept, and there are so many. I know that I don't know everything about financials, and so it's a little bit of a weird concept if you don't, if you don't have your hands in a financial system every day.
Right.
Yeah. So and it sounds to me, just quickly, it sounds to me as if membership revenue with the regular monthly donations, event registration revenue, and separate donation revenue, those 3 revenue accounts will pretty much cover everything. I don't think we will need to create any additional ones, but we'll see.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Okay.
So this kind of completes our overview of this homepage or dashboard page. Any questions on any of this?
No.
Okay, awesome. All right, so next item that we want to look at is our settings and account settings. We are going to be skipping around tabs a little bit today. But in the future we will not be. So today might be a little bit confusing, but of course you can always go back and listen to the recording that we're making. So I'm going to go ahead and work under settings and account settings. I've got a couple questions for you guys on this.
Okay.
Raven, I'm sure you can answer them really easily. What time zone are you guys located in again?
Well, Raven is in Eastern time, and I am primarily in Mountain time with occasional shifts to Central and Pacific.
So what time zone, this is why I guess I had some confusion on this. What time zone would you want your system based in?
Mountain time for me.
It'll apply to everybody who uses it.
Oh, I'm not sure what you mean.
So like the system has some cool functionality, like we have a calendar, our different forms will take place, even our membership dues renewals will go out like at midnight on the dates that we set those notifications up for. But midnight, of course, is different in Eastern, Mountain, Central, Pacific time. So the system needs to have one time zone that it's
okay. I'm thinking since Raven and Steve will be pardon me, it's actually Steve and Allison. I'm thinking Eastern time. What do you think, Raven?
Gosh, I mean, that's kind of my gut feeling, and I'm not sure why. And I don't know that it matters that much. At first I thought Mountain time because I don't know, because it's in the middle and we have a lot of people there, but we have a lot of people on the East Coast too. So I don't know.
Well, let's go. Is my feeling if you're good with that, Raven?
Sure.
Say that you said,
okay.
Let's go. Which one?
Eastern time, please.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. And so Raven, just to point out here a couple things we have from our account settings. So whoever's an ASA, which I think is Raven and you, Michael, once you guys have graduated, you're going to be ready to start calling into our help team with questions. Now, our help team is going to ask you for an account number. If you're like me, you have a million numbers you have to memorize all the time. And so you don't have to write it down or memorize this number. You can always come into your MemberClicks admin, go to your settings tab, your account settings, and you'll find that account number right under your account information. This is also a great place to keep track of how many custom and prospect profiles you guys have used. So you're at a level 1, which means you have 300 available custom profiles and 900 available prospect profiles. You have used at this time 101 profiles, like custom profiles, and then I don't have your prospects in yet, so you haven't used any of them at this time. But if you're ever wondering if you're getting close to your level, if you need a level up, you can always find this information in your account settings tab as well. Now you guys are on an anniversary membership-based date from our last conversation, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Right.
So this membership year looks like it's January 1st, but we've overridden this in the system somewhere else, which I'll show you here shortly. But so I just left it at January 1st. It really doesn't matter at this point what it is, because like I said, we've overwritten this. We've turned on your member number. So I think member number is a great system attribute. We've also talked about this in the past. If you don't want your members to know their member number, you can always permission it off, which I'm going to assign as a piece of homework from tonight's training or from today's training. I'll get back to this in a bit. This is a toggle to let us know if you're using QuickBooks or not. As of right now, you are not using QuickBooks. So I'm going to turn it off. If this changes, let me know. I'll turn it back on. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Your members have the ability to reply to any emails that come from MemberClicks. So all of the notifications that are going out of the system automatically, they have the ability to reply to. I need a reply to email so that it's actually going somewhere, not to like a notifications email address. Do you guys have something I could plug in here?
A notification email. Is this what you were asking me to look at, Raven?
Oh, no, no, she's talking about just an email address right now. Do we have, like a Templar email address, correct, Adrian, that we would want everything to go to?
You're totally right. So like, do you have like an info type of address?
Actually, I believe it's members at knightstemplarorder.org, but I'll need to confirm that.
Raven, does it look like I spelled this correctly?
Well, except for that O there.
That was
order. Yes, that's correct. Yes.
okay, awesome. And then we can always change this if we find that this is not correct. So y'all can just let me know if this needs to be changed. Or you can always come in here and change it yourself as well. Once again, I'm just under the account settings tab.
Okay, gotcha.
And then lastly, this up here in the top right-hand corner is just billing information for MemberClick. So we don't really need to mess with that. It's just whatever they took when you guys activated with us.
Okay.
And that is everything in the account settings tab. Any questions on that?
No, I don't think so.
Awesome. So now we're going to take, okay, perfect. Now we're going to take a look at at the financial pieces in the system. I'm going to use my MemberClick's test site in order to help us visualize what some of this will look like once it's actually been built out, once there are invoices created and such. So I'm going to be toggling between your site and our MemberClick's test site. In order to access your financials, you just have to use the financial tab. The first thing we're going to take a look at are financial and then invoices. This is invoices is the sub-menu tab of financial that you see here.
Okay.
Selecting this will automatically bring us to the invoice list. Now there's tons of things that we can do in here, but obviously we don't have any invoices created in the system, so it's a little bit difficult to visualize. So I'm going to go ahead and move to our MemberClick's test site. And
Okay.
same thing here, I went to financial and invoices.
Okay.
As you've created invoices, this area will be built out. Any invoice ever created in your system will always be housed in here. So even 5 years from now, you can search old invoices from the invoice list. For example, we have our search bar up here in the top right-hand corner. If you know what invoice number you're looking for, or if you are looking for a specific person's invoices, you can search by first name, last name, organization, or obviously invoice number. So I just searched my own name, and I have a bunch of test invoices in here.
Okay.
You can also, see if I have any more. Nope, these are all. So when you're looking at these different columns, you can sort by any of these. So I can click like this invoice number and it can place these numerical. Same for the type. We can sort this by type. Organization, we can click on any of these headings to sort our invoices if we want to. Same for due date. We can also use these options or these kind of statuses of invoices up here in the top. So if I wanted to just see voided invoices for me, then I can use this void and it's going to sort my invoices. Or I can maybe uncheck void and I just want to see paid. I'm going to go back to all the invoices here and I just want to look at all of the open invoices. Now, you may have members who call in and say, Raven, I need a copy of my invoice again. I don't know what I did with it. The cool thing with MemberClicks is all of your members will be able to access any of their invoices through their profiles on the front end of the site. Although you may have some members that are not as tech savvy and are not able to do that. And I am going to show you how your members can access their invoices from the front end on our social community training, which will be our last training together.
Okay.
Where I was going with that was, but if somebody calls you who's maybe not as tech savvy, isn't great at using the front end of the site, they may say, Raven, can you please resend me my invoice? All you have to do is find them. Of course, you can search them. Once you find that right person, the correct invoice that they want to re-receive, all you have to do is tag it and then email. This will give you the option to either email it to the default email, which is whatever email address is within their profile already. You can change it or you can send it to multiple emails.
Wonderful.
Another fun little thing is we can also create PDFs, which will allow us to print these off or download them. So you can maybe send these snail mail if you have, I think you guys have all of your email addresses for members and not physical addresses. So I don't think that you guys will want to do that. But if you ever need to, you can print these off.
Okay.
Once we have found an invoice, so let's say that one of your members submits an offline payment, meaning they send you a check or some other type of payment that might be offline. You can search, of course, their invoice with the invoice number, first name, last name, or organization, find their invoice, just click the invoice number, and that's going to open the invoice. This is exactly how your invoices will look. Of course, it'll have your logo in the top right-hand corner and your association information in this left-hand corner. The rest of this is pretty much going to look the same.
Okay.
Some cool features on this. We have a notes section on our invoice. Take a look at that. I'm going to show you in a minute where you can add these notes in at.
Okay.
We can add comments. Comments are totally internal, so we can add an internal comment. We can save that comment. It's going to show you when you added the comment. So as time moves on, it's going to show us the date and the time that we added this note. So if you apply an offline payment or if you void an invoice, you can always put a little, voided invoice because so-and-so, whatever reason.
Okay.
And then if you mess up, you can always remove those notes as well.
All right.
So if you received that offline payment, you can always select pay invoice directly from the invoice. You can either apply their credit card information, so that would work if somebody called in and said, hey, Raven, I know I have an outstanding invoice. Can you just apply my credit card information online for me really fast? Or like I was talking about, you can apply an offline payment.
Okay.
This will allow you to choose, what type of offline payment you're supplying. You can change this amount that you're paying. So if you're making a partial payment, you can do that, and then the invoice will show partial payment in the system.
Okay.
You can always put in a reference or check number here, the date that you've received, and then their email address will auto-populate if you already have it.
Okay.
Then all you have to do is submit this offline payment, and the invoice will reflect as paid in your system.
So Adrienne, I have a question. On the invoices, will everybody receive an invoice with the whole year amount on their anniversary date, even if they're monthly payers?
Nope. If they're monthly payers, then they'll receive an invoice every month, and the new expiration date will be the date of the next month.
Okay, I thought we talked about that, didn't we, Michael? Because we didn't want, do we want people to get something every month, an invoice every month?
Yeah, we did. We sure want to make very certain that does not happen.
So we talked about auto renewals and how if you use auto renewals, that will not happen that way.
Okay.
And people can select auto renewal if you give them that option too in the member type, which we'll look at together.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then they'll obviously receive the first one, and then the automatic payment will be created each month following. Now, as of right now, I don't think that we had any single month payers. I think we put them all as yearly, and then they're going to have to change that. Isn't that what we discussed?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, perfect.
So when they get the email, the welcome email, or they'll have a choice of what kind of payment. I mean, they'll be able to select the auto pay, right?
Not quite.
Okay.
We'll walk through that process together once everything's in place right before we get ready to launch, so you guys can see exactly what that's going to look like. I think that's going to be the best way, and I can give you a couple options of how we want to move forward with that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Any other questions? So we can also void our invoice from this invoice that we found. We can always credit an invoice, and then we can also download and print from here as well. Any questions kind of on this invoice, how you make offline payments?
No questions for me. I'm good.
I'm good too. Yes.
Awesome. So then the next thing before we move on, I wanted to go ahead and point out, anytime you're in an invoice, you can go directly from an invoice to an individual's profile. So in this case, this is for company BTS. If we want to go directly to their profile, we would just select this little view profile icon, and it would take us right into their profile.
Okay.
To go back to the financial and invoices, I'm just going to go to financial invoices, and this will bring us back to that invoice list. A couple other things that I wanted to point out. You'll notice that we have a bunch of icons up here in the top right. Invoice templates is the first piece of homework I'm going to assign from today's training. And so before we dive in, I'm going to explain a little bit about what invoice templates are. You guys gave me those notifications to use in the system as automatic renewal notifications that are going to go out to remind your members that they need to pay their dues, right? So anybody that's not on auto renew, and anybody that, I'm losing my train of thought, anybody that's not on auto renewal that is going to be receiving those notifications every year or maybe every month, however they have it set up, that's where, so that those notifications that you gave me, that's where those are going to be coming from. So we've got those covered. I always like to think of renewals as kind of being in their own separate bucket. So if there's any other type of invoice created in our system, we don't have a notification going out to A, let them know that the invoice was created, B, to remind them to pay it, C, to let them know that the invoice is lapsed, or D, to send them a payment confirmation. And so that's where these invoice templates come from. It's really more like invoice notifications. So what I ask that you do, the best way to go about handling this is ask yourself, what type of invoices is this system going to ask us to create other than renewals? So you might want to put down events. You guys may want to have just a donations form. So you would want one for donations. And so if we dive in here, I've created one for dues renewals. And the reason why I did this is because although you don't need additional notifications going out for dues renewals, because like I said, those are coming from a separate bucket, dues renewals are going to pull the net due date of the invoice from the invoice template, and it's also going to pull the footer information. So a second ago, we were looking at an invoice, and I pointed out the notes section on the invoice. That notes section is can be added right into this footer information, so that's where the notes are going to populate from. Usually this is remit payment to info, maybe info about, more about your association, whatever you want to add in here. So we don't need any additional notifications for dues renewals because it's coming from a separate bucket. But I did need to tell the system the net due date. And if you wanted to add footer information in here, you can. I also made this the default template because even though we're going to set up some additional templates in the system, you may forget to choose an invoice template on a form at some point in time. So these are going to link to forms. This will make a little bit more sense when we get to the forms training. If you forget to choose an invoice template on the form, you don't want the form to just not create an invoice, right? We still want some type of invoice created. So what I've done is I've told the system, okay, if we forget to choose an invoice template on a form in the future, just use this invoice template as the default. The reason we really want this one used is because there aren't any specific notifications assigned to it. So it's not like you forgot to choose an invoice template on a donation form and then they receive a thank you for registering for this event when they donated money. That doesn't seem good. That's not right. So that's why we're using this specific template that has no notifications linked to it. So like I said, to start, I would write down all the different types of invoices you think MemberClicks could ever create for you. So first make that list. Then you're going to start creating invoice templates for each of those types of invoices the system's going to create. So you're going to select create an invoice template. You can call it events. You'd want to set the net due date. Typically that's 30 days. Add your footer information, that notes section on the invoice. And then you're going to want to come through here and create all of these emails. So not only will you need to turn these notifications on, but you will also need to edit the email. And this is looking funky because I'm zoomed in so that you guys can see everything. It won't be looking funky like this on your end. So you'll actually need to put the subject, thank you for registering for our event, whatever you want to call it, and then some verbiage as the email. Warning, if you only turn these on and do not edit the email, meaning add verbiage to the email, it sends out a super spammy looking email. It literally says, pay this invoice, and then there's a link to the invoice. Totally not, totally not something I would ever pay or even click on. So that's why, it's why it's so important if you're going to use one of these, if you're going to use these notifications, to actually add verbiage to the email. And I just am saying that because I can't tell you how many associations have been like, MemberClicks is sending out spam emails and we don't know how to fix this. Where is this coming from? And so then we always go back through this. So you'll just need to, if you want to, send out a reminder email, you'll turn on the reminder and edit the email. If it's, you want to send out a past due, you can turn on the past due email and edit the email, and then same for payment notification. A lot of my associations say, well, we make our members pay at time of registration. So if you make your members pay at time of registration, it's true. You don't necessarily need to let them know they have a new email or a new invoice because they paid for it when they registered, right? You don't need to remind them because they've already paid for it. You don't need to tell them it's past due because they already paid for it at time of registration. But you still need to set up this payment notification email because they're still going to want to receive an email right after they made payment. Hey, thanks for your payment. We've received, your payment for this event. We look forward to seeing you in the future, or whatever you want to put in here.
Okay.
Does this concept of invoice templates make sense? It's a little bit weird to me.
No.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm good with it so far, Adrian. I think in practice I'll learn more, but I'm good so far.
Okay, and just as a simple way to put it, or a simple way to explain it, is it's really having the system do your dirty work for you. So you're not having to chase down invoices that need to be paid. The system is doing it for you. It's really just a simple way to put it.
Okay, one question I meant to ask earlier, I know this reverts back to the financials, but in the event that someone simply deactivates their credit card or debit card that they originally paid on, that the payments are being drawn on, or if they get disenchanted, they decide to pull out, they don't send us a notice, it's not at registration renewal time, and suddenly that debit card number is no longer, valid, they disavow the payment with the bank or something like that, what notification do we receive from the system? Is that a moolah function? And how does that then show up, in our member profile? Or I know this is reverting back, but I didn't want this question to go unaddressed.
It's a great question, and so I'm glad that you went ahead and asked it. So that's why I don't love automatic renewals, because if somebody's credit card does expire or they change it, which people so often are doing, it becomes a real pain in the butt to track that down. I can show you where we can set up a notification. It's like a notification fail. And I'll ask for you to go ahead and maybe play around in that and add it. Well, I can't, obviously you can't see my screen, so I can't show it to you, but I'll go through it when we get to that area, and I'll show you where you can add in a little bit of verbiage.
Great, yeah, because I think it would only take a paragraph or two. I would say, we noticed this is no longer functioning. Please let us know if this is simply a change of your card or if there's some issue that needs to be addressed. Thank you very much. Something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I'll definitely show you where you can add that in. And I think you can BCC yourself on it so that you receive that notification as well, if I'm remembering correctly. We'll take a look.
Okay.
Awesome. So that is invoice templates. So that's the first piece of homework, y'all, that I asked that you complete. And today is really the only day that there's heavy homework. And the faster that you can get it done, especially right after our training, the better shape that you'll be in, just because you'll remember it a little bit more. And also just to kick it out of the way, we are going to go through a Go Live checklist when we complete our trainings. And it is going to go back through all of those homework items that I'm assigning. And so if they're not done, throughout our trainings, they have to be done at the end, and then it feels a little bit overwhelming with all the stuff that you have to do.
Yeah, we'll do our best to get it done as we go.
Awesome.
I have one more question.
Yes,
on the invoice templates, it seems like you would create an event invoice when you add a new event. There wouldn't be like a generic event. So I don't know, we wouldn't add one yet because we don't have an upcoming event at this point, right? We would just create those for each separate event.
So that's where I would say save yourself some trouble and don't make these notifications event specific, because that means every time you create an event form, you're going to have to create an invoice template, and you have to go back in the form, link it up. It just becomes a lot of work, I think. And so my suggestion would be creating more of a generic events template. Thanks for registering our event. We look forward to seeing you. You do have some data merge items. So you can data merge in, if I turn this on and edit the email, there's a data merge button at the bottom. And I think you can merge in payment data. So you can merge in the amount that's due, the invoice date, the invoice number, the invoice total. You can bring in their name and stuff as well. But that way, it'll be specific to that invoice. And just saying, like I said, thank you for registering for our event. We look forward to seeing you in the future. Make sure you pay your outstanding invoice for data merge amount of money. Please let us know if you have any questions, and then a signature, just to save yourself some work in the long run.
Okay, got it. Thank
you.
The
next thing, yeah, of course. The next thing that I want to talk about are invoice settings. This is another little piece of homework. I mentioned or pointed out on the invoice where the logo shows up in the top right-hand corner. You just need to upload your organization's logo in here, whatever logo you want to pop up in the right-hand corner of your invoice. I also pointed out the organization information, like just your association name, maybe your address, maybe a website or phone number, whatever info you want to appear on the invoice. You'll just place that in this organization information slot.
Okay.
Lastly, we have our invoice number that we can start at. So you guys actually get to determine what invoice number MemberClick starts at when invoicing your members. And so I'd like to leave it at 1 for now. We may create some test invoices, and to me, it's a little bit easier to point out, okay, invoice 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all test, and then real invoices start at 1,000 or 5,000 or wherever you want to pick up at.
Okay.
Everything makes sense there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so this is just a little tiny second piece of homework. We talked about revenue accounts, which is the 4th icon. And so I said I created a membership dues revenue account just as a placeholder for now. If this changes, we can change it. If you guys wanted to add a new revenue account, all we have to do is select add new revenue account. You can put in the account name. I'm going to put in event. Now, when these are actually created in your financial system, it's going to give you more specifics to add in, but at least having a name of a revenue, an events revenue account in your system for right now will be helpful, so you can at least filter where that money's going if you're ready to launch and you haven't created QuickBooks or, whatever other financial system you might want to use.
Okay.
And then we just hit save, and that's created a new revenue account.
Okay, great.
Lastly, we have your payment processor, and you guys don't ever have to do anything in here. Hart already built this out for you guys, and so your credentials are in this area. And so this is solid. Nothing needs to be done here.
Okay.
And that is everything on financials. Any questions there?
No.
I'm good so far.
Okay, awesome. Now we only have about 10 minutes left, and I really wish that we're probably going to break this database training up in maybe 2 sessions. So we'll look at maybe scheduling another session. One other thing that we do have time to go through is under the financial tab and transactions. So I'm still under the financial tab. This takes us to our transaction report. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can export all of your transactions. You can determine the dates that you want to pull these from, filter these by revenue account, transaction type, payment type, credit card type. And just to show you what this is going to look like once you actually have transactions, this is where it's really going to show you the debit and credit, the sale and the payment. So you'd have 2 line items for everything in the transaction report. So this just goes into financial details. If you have a financial person that's kind of like designated to this kind of thing, I can do a separate financial training with just them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's God has not yet sent us that person, but I'm sure he or she is coming.
when they exist, you can send them my way. We can look at all of this together.
Right. Okay.
Awesome. Any questions kind of on this piece right now? Probably not a whole lot.
I'll probably have a lot of stuff that comes up when I look at these financial transaction reports and filters and things, but as I don't have the visual because I didn't get my password this last hour, so we'll just let that go for now.
Of course, yeah. And like as the more you guys learn about the system, the more questions you're going to have, and so that is totally, I love questions. Awesome. So I don't really want to get into the next kind of item. So I'm going to go ahead and point out, Michael, just for you, so we're going to look more at this next time under database and member types. So I created those default settings and then all those default notifications for you within the system. Next to your Templar members, we can look at those edit notifications. And down here at the bottom is where there's a payment failure notification that you can set up. And I've highlighted this on my screen. So when you go back and watch the recording, you'll see exactly where I'm talking about. It's at the very bottom of the page.
Right, yeah.
And it specifically says for auto renewal payments. And it's sent after a failed auto renewal payment. And so you can add a failure notification. There's a button that says add failure notification. You'll put in a subject and then you can fill out what notification, what verbiage you want to go out with that. Now it does look like we cannot BCC you on this. So it's just going to be sent to your members. So what kind of stinks about this is if you have people that aren't paying their invoices, now I don't think that you guys association would have this issue. It doesn't sound like, but I think sometimes what happens is people cancel their credit cards specifically because they don't want to pay for something anymore. And they maybe don't want to fess up that they don't want to pay anymore. And so you're sending them notifications and now you're having to kind of manually track after them and send them emails and say, hey, Bob, like, what's up? I haven't received your payment. What's going on? And Bob's just not emailing you back. And that can create a lot of work for you. So that's kind of the messy part, right? But it sounds like you guys aren't going to have that issue with the member type that you have, with the type of
I mean, it will. I'm sure it will come up simply because people hit hard times. They may be fully committed in terms of their ideals, but suddenly the money's just not there. Stuff happens. So but by and large we'll have deeply committed people, so we're fine with having ongoing some extended conversations with people about where they may be, because once they are members with us, it's not just membership in an association. It's really more of a deep training and lifestyle commitment. Mm-hmm. So we want to nurture the relationship through good times and bad. So yeah, we'll just follow up on that individually.
Perfect. And you may want to add some verbiage in there. If you no longer want to be a member, or if you can't make this payment right now, please reach out to us and we can create some type of payment plan. However you might want to work with them, just to kind of encourage them to reach out.
We don't want to make it too easy for them not to donate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. All right. Well, that's kind of the last item that I wanted to review today, and I just wanted to go through that quickly so that you could go ahead and add some verbiage in there before our next training. Do you guys want to go ahead and schedule? I'm going to go ahead and stop our